Hi, English 150, 160 students. Today is Wednesday, April the 1st. Do you feel like the days are all kind of blending together? I know I do. In fact, the only reason I knew it was April 1st today is because my partner Brian shared with me the funniest thing in the whole world. And I don't know if you saw this come across social media today, but somebody here in Yellowknife pulled the best prank on their kid today. They took a letter with the YK1 letterhead and made a fake letter that said that the cancellation of schools was canceled. And in fact, school was back on. And so he made her get up, get ready for school, showed her the letter, drove her to the school, and then said April Fools. How mean is that? That was so funny. Don't do that to your children. But I just thought that was a really good story. I feel like I have, I don't know, really big guy hanging over my shoulders. I'm going to like block his head. And now I look like I have antlers. Come on. Okay. Anyway, hi, welcome to English class. I want to say thank you to everyone for watching the video and participating in the lesson on Monday. Thank you to those of you who have already completed your work. I really appreciate that. I'm going to be marking those on the weekend and getting them back to you. If you haven't sent in that assignment yet, that's okay. Deadlines are flexible, but I'm about to drop another assignment on you today and then another one on Monday. And so you don't want to fall behind. Please stay on top of your work. And that way, you don't have that buildup. So if you didn't do Monday's assignment yet, get it done, email it off to me. Now, it is really important to me, before we get started in the lecture, that Aurora College knows if you don't have a computer. If you are watching this video on a friend's device or on your phone, please tell me in an email whether or not you do not have access to a computer, because I feel like you doing your work on your phone or on an iPad is not very sustainable. And I mean, there's no promises, of course, but Aurora College, YK1, ECE is doing a lot of work to try to find funding to try to help people with supplements for technology. So if you don't have a laptop computer with a keyboard, please message me and let me know. Okay, so here we go. Today we're going to be talking, leading in towards our reading of the Marrow Thieves. Actually, it's funny, on my Facebook yesterday, day before, who knows, I had messaged or done a post about how I was teaching this book, and I tagged Cherie because she and I have met before. And she said the nicest things and is really happy and flattered that we're learning her book. And who knows, maybe she can communicate with us as a class later in the semester. Fingers crossed. Okay, so today we're specifically talking about the idea of milieu. I know that I've talked a little bit about milieu in the past, but I want to make sure that we have a good foundational understanding of what that word means. It's a French word, and I think it's an important one. So for example, as you know, I prefer to teach novels, short stories, poetry, specifically that comes from Northern and Indigenous writers, Northern and Indigenous communities. And that's because very much that is reflective of our milieu, the environment, the time, the place, the situation in which we find ourselves. As Thomas King said in the Massey lecture that I shared with you, and we read a little excerpt from it, the truth about stories is that's all we are. We are our stories. And the best stories, in my opinion, are influenced by the world around us, the time and place in which we find ourselves. And so for everyone, I think that telling our stories, or even just hearing our stories told, is a way of affirming our place in history, our place in our surroundings, our place in our time. Stories are important. And I think that stories coming from Northern and Indigenous writers is not only a reflection of our time, place, situation, our families, our environment, our hobbies, our activities, our lifestyle, but I think that Indigenous writing is especially special because it's an important step towards reconciliation, that it is an extension of our relational understanding with Canadian settler culture. And so I think that having those stories told is incredibly important, especially when considering the 94 calls to action by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So I am very much biased towards this literature. And I think because it does reflect our time and place and our situation, that it's going to be something that you will enjoy reading as well, and something that we've enjoyed reading together so far. Another reason that I think that this literature is so particularly powerful is because of the power of story, and I truly believe this, to affect personal and social change. Stories can change the world, man. I really believe that. In fact, okay, so there's a poem that I would like to share with you. So I'm going to put me on screen share, and let's go over here. So there's a wonderful Mi'kmaq writer, Mi'kmaq woman, who she's passed away now, which is sad. Her name is Rita Jo. Rita Jo is part of the canon of Indigenous literature in Canada. So I'm going to put in Rita, oops, here we go, Rita Jo. And there's a very famous poem that she wrote called I Lost My Talk, just a short one. And so let's take a look at I Lost My Talk by Rita Jo. This is a picture of Rita Jo over here. Again, she's a Mi'kmaq woman born in Cape Breton Island. She passed away in 2007. Her poem says, I lost my talk, the talk you took away. When I was a little girl at Shubenacadie School, you snatched it away. I speak like you, I think like you, I create like you, the scrambled ballad about my word. Two ways I talk, both ways I say. Your way is more powerful. So gently I offer my hand and ask, let me find my talk so I can teach you about me. Isn't that a lovely sentiment? So I can teach you about me. I like that poem a lot. I like all of Rita Jo's work. So give her a Google, take a look at some of her other writing. And so I don't know, something I want you to consider is the idea of teaching through story. And so if you were to tell a story, if you were to write a poem, if you were to write a short story, heck, if you were to write a novel, please write a novel, what would your story be? What about your home, your family, your culture, your environment? What stories are there? And what stories do you think should be told? It's something to think about. Okay, so let's first do a really short little lecture that's saved or shared with us through Alberta Education on the idea of milieu. This is a 2-minute and 30-second clip. I'm sorry it's not a video clip. So I'm going to encourage you to settle back in your chair, close your eyes, and listen to this. And you might have to listen to it twice because it's a little bit dense. And the format is it's intended to be a teacher talking to a couple of students about what milieu is and what it means. So here we go. Let's listen.
You mean the things that help form our identity?
Might help if I went back to the beginning. Ready? False start. Let's try again.
I'm not sure I understand what milieu means.
Milieu includes everything in an author's environment that influenced how he or she wrote a particular work of fiction.
Like what?
Well, as you know, we're all shaped to some degree by factors in our environment. We're influenced by the events that occur around us and by the ideas and people we come in contact with.
You mean the things that help form our identity and our self-concept?
These things influence our beliefs, attitudes, opinions, points of view, and values, right?
That's right. They also determine what we think about life, human nature, and the important issues of our day. All of these thoughts and ideas make up our understanding of the world. They would naturally influence what we would write about and how we would write it.
Can you give us an example?
Suppose two authors who are the same age and grew up in the same city are about to begin writing separate novels about teenagers growing up in a large city. One of the authors had a middle-class upbringing, a stable family life, was popular, graduated, and remembers his or her teenage years as being happy and carefree. The other author came from an abusive family, dropped out of school, was addicted to alcohol and drugs, and spent half of his or her teenage years living on the streets. Do you think that the stories they would write would be similar?
I see what you mean. The authors come from different worlds. They've experienced life very differently and would see things from different perspectives. They'd have different concerns and different ideas about what's important.
Exactly.
But I prefer to read a book without thinking about that sort of stuff. I mean, shouldn't the book speak for itself? If we're always looking for reflections of the writer's life and times, we don't really pay as close attention to what the book has to say.
Good point. Some literary experts do feel that we should concentrate on the text and forget about the author. Still, you may find it helpful to know something of the author's background. An adage often told to writers is to write what you know. In other words, write from your own experience. Some writers rely heavily on personal experience. Others don't.
I'm always curious about a writer's life. It's usually easy to find information about a writer on the internet.
Yes, and the reference section in the library also has biographical information on authors.
Okay, so that gives you an idea of what milieu is about. I know that's a little bit dry, but thank you for sticking with it. I want to go back and listen to the first few seconds again, just so once again we get a good definition of what a milieu is. So again, settle in, pay attention. Here we go.
I'm not sure I understand what milieu means.
Milieu includes everything in an author's environment that influenced how he or she wrote a particular work of fiction.
Like what?
Well, as you know, we're all shaped to some degree by factors in our environment. We're influenced by the events that occur around us and by the ideas and people we come in contact with.
You mean the things that help form our identity and our self-concept?
These things influence our beliefs, attitudes, opinions, points of view, and values, right?
There you go. So that gives you an idea of what milieu is. And so before we get into reading the Marrow Thieves, I think it's important that we consider Cherie Dimaline's milieu, the time, place, and situation in which this story is being told. I always do author research before I begin reading a book, and I recommend that you do the same. In this case, it's mandatory fun. So here we go. Of course, there's always a little bit about the author on the back of the book, but I want to go a little bit deeper than that. So here's your assignment for today. This has been attached to this email. I've sent it again as a Microsoft Word document and as a PDF for whichever way is easier for you to read. It's the same worksheet, just two different formats. You can submit this work to me ideally by Monday. Monday would be not a hard and fast deadline, but I strongly recommend that you submit it to me by Monday. But heck, get it done today. That way you don't have it hanging over your head and you can give attention to things like math and science. Okay, so here we go. Here's the assignment. So assignment number 2, because assignment number 1 was learning about dystopia. This one is all about author's milieu. It says, complete the following questions. Email your answers to your instructor by Monday, April the 6th. So in the short audio clip in today's video lecture, you learned that information about the author of a novel may help you to understand the work itself. So here's your assignment. I want you to use the internet to find some information about the author of the novel you've chosen to read. In this case, we've chosen The Marrow Thieves. Present your results in the following chart, filling in as much of the chart as you can. Be sure that you indicate where you found your information. You may need to use several sources of information. Now, I'm not going to live and die by this chart. If you hate the chart, it's okay. Do it in a different format. If you find this chart difficult to work with, you can format your answers however you'd like. However, it has to contain the same information. Now, because I created this assignment with Cherie Dimaline in mind, you should be able to find all of this information out there on the internet. So what do I want you to learn about her? Well, of course, her full name. Is that her real name? Does she have an Indigenous language name? When was she born? Is she still alive? She just commented on my Facebook yesterday, so yes. Where was she born? And so when I talk about country of birth, I also want you to consider the First Nations in which she was born. And then current or most recent citizenship, where is she living today? I would like a couple of bullet points about her education and her work history. And so where has she done her school? What places has she worked for? What organizations has she represented? Has she had a job other than being an author? What are things that are important to her? Why does she do what she does? Why does she tell stories? What causes are important to her? What does she believe in? This one's going to be harder and highly individualized. She's done a lot of interviews, so I'm interested to see what you can come up with. She's written other novels. What are they? What are some of those novels about? Not it's about a circus, but what is it really about? You're going to have to do a little bit of digging to do this. What are some of the themes in her books? You don't have to do all of them. Let's say themes in 3 other novels, because she's written a lot of them. 5? Anyway, let's try for 3. 3 is always the magic number in English. What are some significant life experiences or achievements that have influenced the author's writing? Has she won any special awards? Has she been recognized for things? Has she had important moments in her life? Again, you're going to have to do a little bit of digging. Anything else that's interesting about Cherie? For example, she's a mom and she has 3 kids. That's an interesting fact to me. Anything else that you can find out about her? Again, 3 is the nice thing. Now, in English class, because we're doing research, I need to know where this information came from. It would be lovely if you could just pick up the phone and give her a call, but that's unlikely. And so which web pages did you get your information from? Here's what I'm looking for in this box. I want you to tell me the name of the web page and then copy and paste the URL right beside it. Format it in the best way that you can. This is a lot of work, guys. This is going to probably take you an hour and a half in order to do this well. So that's why this is the focus for right now. Okay, so, that's only question 1. There's a question 2. Okay, here we go. Next page. I have an interview here that's 27 minutes long, I think? 27 minutes long with Cherie Dimaline. It's a really great interview. It's enormously watchable and informative, and she's a great storyteller. I hope that you're going to enjoy it. You should be able to click directly on this link, but if you find that formatting tricky on your device, then you can just do a search on YouTube for Cherie Dimaline interview. It's the second link, or Reclaiming Lost Dreams, Cherie Dimaline. And so that's the video that you're looking for. So I encourage you just to sit back, relax, watch the video straight through for 27 minutes. Watch it before you go to bed tonight. Watch it when you first get up in the morning tomorrow. Don't worry about answering any questions. Just listen to her. She's a great storyteller. The second time through, I'd like you to answer 2 questions. You ready? They're pretty easy. The first 9 minutes or so are about Cherie Dimaline's life experiences and some of her thoughts on writing. I want you to choose one thing that she says that just captured you, made you pay attention, you thought was it interesting, it stands out to you for some reason. Maybe it's because you think it's interesting, important, a little bit funny or amusing. Maybe it confused you. Maybe it was an emotional statement. Maybe it was something you can relate to, it's relatable, or any other reason. Just choose something that she said and then tell me what she says. So you can just paraphrase it in your own words, paraphrase what she says, and then explain in your own words, why this thing? Out of all the things that she said in that first 9 minutes, why did you choose that passage? This should be a short paragraph. Explain yourself with thoughtful details and explanations in order to get full marks, and I'll talk about my marking system. So that's in the first 9 minutes. The rest of the interview is all about the actual novel, The Marrow Thieves. Luckily, they don't give any big spoilers, but you get introduced to a little bit of the content. This is really important. I think that doing some pre-reading, some pre-research about what this book is about will help us to understand it more quickly and more deeply upon our first read together. So listen to the rest of the interview and then just say, does this sound like a book I'd enjoy? Do I want to read this book? Does this sound like a novel I'm going to enjoy reading? And then just another really short paragraph, tell me why or why not. I'd love it if you referred back to something that she said, but maybe that's not what's going to come out. Just tell me with lots of thoughtful detail and explanation, do you think that you're going to enjoy reading this book? It's okay to say no. But if you say no, I want to know why. I love writing about things that are contrary. So if you're like, I don't think I'm going to be into this, Robin. I'm a little bit worried because I know I have to study it. But here, let me tell you about my concerns or things that won't really resonate with me. I'm interested in those things. But I'm hoping that you're like, yes, I want to read this book because of X, Y, and Z. Short little paragraph. Paragraphs typically 5-6 sentences. So there's your assignment, friends. You have to do some research on the author. And you have to tell me something that she said that was interesting. And do you think, based on the last part of the interview, does this sound like a book you're going to enjoy reading? How do I mark this? There's a very basic little rubric. Each of your responses is going to get a mark out of 5. Oh, your chart is just going to get marked for completeness. So it's also going to get a mark of 5. 5, completely done. 4, you're missing some things. 3, that's super superficial. 2, it's incomplete. 1, I don't know why you passed this in. 0, you didn't pass it in at all. That sort of thing. Don't worry about that. So your assessment criteria for your author research is right here. So get mark it a 5. Is it complete and accurate? Have you included all the information? Did you tell me where you got your information from? Did you generally try for good spelling and grammar? I'll be generous. Do your best. Question 2, I guess it's technically for question 1 and 2, the writing part. The writing part is you tell me the short passage from the video that's clearly identified, and then you tell me why or why not. Anyway, quick little rubric because that's good teaching practices to tell you how you're going to get a mark. Generally mark it a 5. Whew, okay. So what else did I want to talk to you about? Oh, how to pass this in. So just like before, you can write this directly in an email to me. That's fine. You can do it on Microsoft Word with the document that I've actually sent to you. So you can type it directly onto this page. You can delete things, move things around. You can create a new document if you want to. That's fine. You can create a doc in Google Docs and share it with me. That's great too. Or, if you are just having some technological difficulties, or if you prefer working with pen and paper, by all means, write it out on paper and then just snap a picture of it and send me or text to me that photograph. So you can email it or text it. Basically, any way that you could need to take in order to get it passed into me absolutely works for me. There is not going to be an assignment given to you on Friday. Friday, I'm still going to check in with you through email. I might send you a short little video with a little bit of information. There's no work to do on Friday. I feel like this is 3 days worth of work right here, especially if you're giving it about, I figure I could do this well in about an hour and a half, the length of a normal class. So take your time with this, do it well. I highly recommend that you pass it in to me as soon as possible, Monday at the latest, because Monday, we're going to start reading the book. And I'm really excited about that. We're going to jump right in. We're going to do about a chapter a day. So starting on Monday, we're going to read about a chapter a day. I am not going to read this book to you. Your bandwidth thanks me. But I am going to give you reading questions and activities to do along the way. I might talk in my lectures a little bit about things that I thought were really important. But to stay on top of it, starting on Monday, you're going to be reading about a chapter a day. Keep that in mind. So flip through the book, see how long it is. That'll take us, about 2.5 weeks to get through it, and then we'll do our major assignment. Maybe it'll go more slowly. We'll have to see. Is there anything else that I want to? Oh, okay. Last thing I want to talk about is the extension activity. So as always, I think that having an extension is an important part of learning. Again, the difference between a good student and a great student is about 20 minutes of independent learning on your own. If you think that this idea of milieu, the idea of learning about Indigenous writing that's happening now in this country is interesting and important, here's some opportunities for some extension learning. Not mandatory fun, just highly recommended. So there is an article that I'd like to share with you that is from a webpage called All Lit Up, alllitup.ca. The article is called Indigenous Literature, Diversity and Importance. This article is really well written. It's not terribly long, but they talk about some of the most important or prolific Indigenous writers that are happening in Canada right now. As you can see, here's some of the names of authors that are referenced. And it just talks about why Indigenous literature is so important, according to this author, who is Christine Smith for All Lit Up. I think it's a great article. Take 10, 15 minutes, read through it. If this is something that you're especially passionate about, you want to geek out like I do, there's a book that I've referenced in my college research class before. It's called Why Indigenous Literatures Matter. And I think we watched an excerpt with this author in English class. Oh, I think so. It's all kind of blurring together at this point. It's written by Daniel Heath Justice. It's a pretty academic book, but I think it's really well written. If this is a topic that you're interested in, I strongly recommend picking up this book. All right, friends, that is it from me today. I hope you are doing well. Thank you, merci, masicho for tuning in, and I will see you a little bit on Friday. As always, email me, text me with any questions or concerns. How do I make this stop sharing? Don't even know. Oh, there we go. New share. Okay, I'm gonna hang up right now because this is strange and confusing. All right, take care, friends.